YouTube. So I trust we are on YouTube. Perfect. Wow. So we are live today. Welcome, my friends. Welcome back to Microsoft Excel Power Platform Meetup for Saudi Arabia. And today I'm really excited because I have my lovely friend who is in Saudi Arabia, Omolola, and she is from Nigeria and she's here in Saudi Arabia. And she is one of the women in tech, the theme of our meetup, and she has joined this meetup today. And she is the first lady from on our meetup from Saudi Arabia itself. So it's my honor to have her over here on this meetup. And what can I say? I know a lot of my friends from Nigeria. I know Victor Momo, Bernard. They're amazing guys who are doing a lot of contribution into the community. And it's lovely to have Oma to over here in Saudi Arabia with us, and she is coming up and contributing to this meetup group in for women in tech especially. So Oma, I will leave the floor to you, and you can just tell us about yourself. We would be really happy to hear about you, and the floor is yours, and the show is on. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Faraz. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So my name is Omolola Alfred. Well, for short, you can just call me Lola. And I currently live in Saudi Arabia. A few months ago, I used to live in Nigeria, but now I live in Saudi Arabia, and it's exciting, be able to contribute to the tech community here in Saudi Arabia, just like as I was doing back at home in Nigeria. So that's all about me. My name is Lola. I have led several tech communities. I've been part of several tech communities, and I'm also an MVP in business applications. So I cannot wait to share with you everything that we have today. Copilot in Power Automate using Excel connectors. All right. Okay. So should I just go ahead?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Omla, you
Awesome.
can
So
go ahead.
today we'll be looking at Copilot in Power Automate using Excel connector. So I'll just break everything down. First, we're going to look at Copilot as Copilot. So Microsoft has been doing a lot with artificial intelligence, which is the Copilot. So we have Copilot for in Power Automate, we have Copilot even in Power Apps, we have Copilot in Excel, we have Copilot in PowerPoint. We have the Copilot for Microsoft 365. We also have Copilot Studio. So most times people, mix some of these things up. And today I will just explain Copilot, but our focus will majorly be the Copilot inside of Power Automate. And so as we'll be working with Copilot in Power Automate, we'll be using Excel connectors. I have some data on Excel, which I'm going to bring up, and we'll talk to Copilot, and Copilot will help us to do some things with that data. All right. But before we go into our demo, I would like to just give a little bit of background. I've talked about this already. My name is Omolola Alfred. I'm an MVP in business application. I talk a lot about digital transformation, how to make the workspace better using Power Apps, Power Automate. Talk a little bit on Copilot Studios and using different kind of connectors, which today we'll be using Excel connector. All right, so the roadmap. One of the things we'll be doing today, first we'll look at Copilot in Power Automate. Yeah, we would look at, one sec, let me just drag this guy away. Okay, good. So we look at Copilot in Power Automate. We will look at what can Copilot do in Power Automate. We will look at the limitation of Copilot. So if you're looking at what Copilot can do, we should also be able to look at what Copilot cannot do, right? The limitation of Copilot. Then we'll do the demo. That's, I will show you practical example of how we can work with Copilot in Power Automate. That's why we're going to use the Excel connectors, and we can go on to have questions if you have any. All right. So basically, remember that I said that Microsoft has been doing a lot, with artificial intelligence, which is Copilot. So the idea of Copilot is an assistant, right? So in Power Automate, it is a new way to build automation. So you can continue building, and if you have probably anything you want to ask, so instead of you to go out of Power Automate and go into maybe your chat GPT, or you go online and you ask questions, you have like that chat window just inside of Power Automate where you can ask any of these questions. That's basically the AI model inside of Power Automate, ready there for you to ask whatever question you want to ask, so that you can go on and build. So you don't need to leave the Power Automate studio for you to build. You can build directly inside of Power Automate. You have any question you want to ask AI, you ask AI inside of the Power Automate studio. All right, so the Copilot in Power Automate stays with you in your flow building journey, and it helps you build, it helps you set up, it helps you run an automation on your behalf through a chat experience. Now we want to see what are the capabilities of this Copilot, right? If you want to build a new flow, Copilot can help you build a new flow. If you want to edit a flow, you want to say, Copilot, help me do this and that, and you don't know the card to add in Power Automate, Copilot can help you to do that, right? To help you to add that card, and you can continue your building journey. So Copilot can also explain an existing flow process. So I really like this one, because if you get into an organization where they build a particular flow and you don't understand what the flow is doing, probably the flow is very complex, you can just using the Copilot in Power Automate, you can just ask a question. Can you explain this flow to me? What does this flow, what is this flow doing, right? And Copilot will actually explain it to you. It will tell you, okay, so this flow uses this connector, uses that connector to get this, and this is what you are using it to do, right? And Copilot can also answer questions. So the same way you go online and you will search for whatever you want to search for, because you have a question and you want an answer, you can do it inside of the Copilot studio, inside of the Power Automate studio, without leaving the Power Automate studio. So Copilot can answer you. So basically, Copilot is like your assistant. And when we are saying Copilot in Power Automate, it is your artificial intelligence assistant, your AI assistant inside of Power Automate. So you don't need to leave the Power Automate studio. All right. Now, we have limitations. There are some limitations of Copilot. So Copilot cannot exactly fix some errors for you. So when you have errors in flows, Copilot will not be able to fix it for you. But you can ask questions and it will just guide you. All right. So we're going to see. I'm going to do a demo and I will show you some of the things we can use Copilot for. So another thing is, when Copilot is helping you, and you will also see that in the what's it called? You see that in the demo when we start. So when Copilot is helping you, at times, it writes some code and it will just put it directly like that, right? Instead of using maybe some dynamic content and all of that. But the most important thing is the presence of Copilot will actually guide you. So yes, there are some errors, right? It's not yet perfect. There are limitations, but it will guide you. All right. But before we go into question, I'm just going to let me see. I'm going to stop sharing this. Oh no, I'm just going to go into. Okay, so I'm going to go into our Power Automate Studio. Good. So this is the Power Automate Studio. And so what I want to do now is I want to create a flow, right? And so I'm just going to I'm going to start with instant cloud flow. So we have different kinds of ways to start your flow, right? But I'm going to select the instant cloud flow. I'll just give my flow a name. So I'm going to say, um, um, let me just name it Excel Insight. Okay. Excel Insight. So manually trigger a flow. I want to manually trigger this flow, Excel Insight, and I will create it. Okay. So now there are some people that don't like this particular studio. All right. They don't like this particular studio just because it's basically different from the studio that we used to use before in Power Automate. But this studio, because if I change this from the new designer, I would not have access to Copilot. But with this one, I would have access to Copilot. So we are going to use this one, and it's actually not hard. I'm going to show you how you can, easily use it. So now this is the Copilot. If I select this Copilot, you see that the Copilot will leave. Okay, if I click on this Copilot, I will see it here. And this is what it says. It says, welcome back. If you want me to change your flow, just say what you want. For example, add an action that sends an email, explain what an action does, add a condition. So I'm just going to do a very simple flow using an Excel connector. All right. A very simple flow using an Excel connector, and we'll take it from there. But I'm going to so at some point, I'm going to tell Power Automate, I'm going to ask Power Automate questions. Okay, now, what I want to do here is, okay. So what I want to do here is I want to add an action. So the action I want to add is an Excel action. So Excel Online. I'm just going to list rows present in a table. I will list rows present in a table. So currently I have a SharePoint, no, not SharePoint. I have an Excel data. It was a particular, so we did a form. We sent the form out for a particular meetup while I was in Nigeria. So that meetup had a lot of information, all right? So what I want to do now is the information is already in an Excel table, okay? So what I want to do now is I need insight from that table, and I want to be able to use Power Automate to get insight from that table. I also want to be able to get insight from that table and send a message. All right, I'll send a message with that insight. So Power Automate will do all of that. All right. So what I want to do now is, so I'm connecting to where I want to connect to where that data resides. Okay, so the data resides in a SharePoint site. Under documents. Yes, it's a Microsoft Dynamics 365 meetup that we had. So it's a Microsoft Dynamics 365 customer service file. And the table is table 1. Okay. All right, so now that this one is done, another beautiful thing that I love about this studio, right, that is Copilot enabled is I can basically just, if I select this particular icon, so let me just explain what these icons are for. So this one is for zooming, all right, so I can zoom out, see, zoom out, and I can zoom in, or I can just select this one, it will fit it to size, right, it will fit it. Then I can, for instance, let's say that this is somewhere here, okay? If I select this one, it will show me, this is going to operation, right? It will show me what I already have on my, on this studio. So these are the cards that I have. I have the manually trigger a flow card. I have the list rows present in a table card, okay? And now this is a toggle minimap. So this actually tells me where my flow is. So in case I'm looking for the flow, right? But for me, one thing I like to do is just to fit it. So I'll just fit it to size and we are good. Okay. Now that I've connected to my data in Excel, right? What I want to do now is I already have this data, but I want to, the first thing I want to do is I want to count, right, the number of people. So let me first show you the Excel data so that you see what we are doing. Okay, so this is the data. So this is data that we're using. So this data is it was a Microsoft form that people filled and it's stored here. All right. So this is it. Now, several people have filled this. What do I want Power Automate to do for me? What I want is, I want to know, first, I want to know the total number because I don't want to come here and come and be checking, right? I want to know the total number of people that have filled this particular form. Okay, I want to know the total number of people. So I'll tell Power Automate to count it. Another thing that I need Power Automate to tell me so I just need some insight. I want to know how many people are beginner, right? Their level of expertise. So this particular form was for a meetup. So we wanted to be able to take people's name, people's email addresses, their phone number. We wanted to also know their level of expertise, right? For us to be able to determine the kind of training that we're going to prepare for the people. So now what I want Power Automate to do is I want Power Automate to tell me the total number of people that have filled this form. I also want Power Automate to tell me the people, the number of beginner, how many people are at the beginner stage, how many people are at intermediate stage. I don't have anybody here that is an expert. It's basically just between beginner and intermediate, beginner and intermediate. So I want to know how many beginner do I have and how many intermediate do I have. So that's what I'll be using Power Automate to do. Very, very simple. In few steps, I will get all of that. But another thing I want Power Automate to do, which you can actually use, another thing I want Power Automate to be able to do for me is I want Power Automate to send it to me, right, as an email. I want all those information to be sent to me in my mail, right? So I don't need to come back here to come and check. All I need to do is to just go to my mail and I will receive all of that in my mail. Okay? So now, I've told you what I want to do. Let's assume that I don't know what I want to do. Or I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to achieve that. Okay? I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to achieve that. So this is what I will do. I will just come to Copilot here and say, um, I want to count the number of values present in the Excel table. Okay? I want to count the number of values present in the Excel table. I want to count the number of values present in the Excel table. So I would send this. Let me see. Has it done anything? Nothing yet. Let me save this flow first. And I'll type that again. I want to know. Is it saved? Yes, that's saved. So I will just paste that again. Okay, so I don't know why it's not coming up. So let me see. So I want to count the number of values present in the Excel table. Okay, let's say, can you count let's see. I don't know why this is not doing what I wanted to do. So normally when I tested, or anytime you're using something like this and you send it, it's actually meant to, okay, perfect. So it has actually been working, but I did not see that. All right, so this is it. It says added this action. Check this action to see if any parameter needs to be set. Okay. You can see it has been adding it. So what what Copilot has done for me here is it has actually been adding this compose card, but I'm not seeing it on my I'm not seeing it here.
You should try refreshing the page. That
Yeah.
might.
So I'm going to do that, not a problem. Okay, so what we're experiencing now is actually one of the limitations, all right? We're going to do it again. All right. Perfect. So now this is it. So what I said is, I said I want to count the number of values present in the Excel table. So how it normally works is it would actually bring it out here for you. So it has added a compose card for you, but I can decide to undo it. Okay, if I undo it, revert, you see it has gone. All right. Because it said added this action. So action undone, right? Because probably you want to remove it or you don't like what it has added. But I am just going to let me see, when I select it, it doesn't go back. But I will just copy this and I will ask it again. Perfect. So now we have it back. So let us check what it has done. So what it has done now is it has added length. So it said at length outputs all of this. So let's see if, so this actually shouldn't work. All right, but let's just save this. So Power Automate's Copilot has helped us. This code that Copilot has actually written here is almost there, but it's not there, right? But it's almost there. So if you already have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't know exactly how to, go about it, or probably you've forgotten that, oh, I can actually use length as a function to actually get the list of rows, okay? If when Copilot does something like this, you are almost there, right? But you're not yet there, and this would actually help. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll just copy this and I'll go to the expression bar. So I'm going to put the same thing in the expression. No, not here. So I will just come here. I'll put this and I will edit it. The Copilot has helped me, but not completely, not completely. So we will see how similar, or we'll see how close Copilot is to what we want to do. So what I'll just do here, just take this away, go to dynamic content, and I'll put this. So we can see that, let me add this. All right, so now I have a perfect code. This here would actually, let me save this and test it. So we have about 3 to 4 more actions to add. Okay, so it says not specified. So we're going to do this again. For the inputs, we'll go to expression, we'll come here and add length. Okay, we'll go to dynamic content and select this present in a table. We'll add it. So for us to be sure, let's be sure that our list rows present in a table has not broken. So we have documents, we have this table 1. Let's see. Save this. Okay, we'll go ahead and test it. All right. So now this is it. This is the answer. It says there are 152 rows. Let's check if there are 152. So we'll just be checking step by step to ensure that what we are doing is correct. This is how I like to work. For each card I add, I just test it to be sure that everything is fine. Okay, so we have 152 rows aside from this header, right? They are 152. So here you see 153, so minus the header, we have 152. Now, the next thing we want to do, so from here, you can already see the limitation. Copilot would help you, but it will not exactly give you the exact, right? It's not, yeah, it will not give you the exact, let me put it like that, but it did help you because it knew that in Power Automate, we don't have a function called count, right? But we have length. So it knows that learn is what it should do, and it knows that it should refer to the list rows present in the table. But what it doesn't know, it doesn't exactly know the line of code is not perfect. Let me put it like that. The line of code is not perfect. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to, so I'm going to talk to Power Automate again, Copilot again, and we are not going to give up on Copilot. So we want to talk to Copilot again and ask Copilot a question. So now I'm going to tell Copilot that I want to count the number of people that selected beginner option from the Excel I added. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So I wrote it somewhere already. I will just copy it and paste here. So now you will notice that I'm not able to interact with this Copilot until I go to edit. So when you go to edit, then you'll be able to tell Copilot whatever it is that you want to do. So I'm going to add this. And let's see what it tells us. So now, so here he added a query for us. Let's check. So what he added for us is a query, and you can see it says enter a valid array. This array is not actually valid. So another thing, this is another what's it called? This is another limitation, right? It doesn't know perfectly what it should do, right? But it's not automatically wrong. It's not automatically wrong. So if you look at what he has here, it says this is query, but it looks like filter, right? It looks like the filter card in Power Automate. And like I said, Copilot will help you, it will guide you, because this is already guiding us to where we are going. It's just that it will not give you perfectly what you need it to give you, right? But still, I don't need to leave the beautiful thing, or what I like about it is I don't need to leave Copilot Studio, right? In case I probably need something, I need to read about a particular documentation, because this Copilot also helps you with documentation. You want to read something, at times it brings information from documentation. You could also bring information from online, anywhere online, right? So I'm just going to work with this. So array to filter. I'm going to use the dynamic content, and I'll filter my list present in the table, right? So this is just my data, right? So I'm saying that I want to query this particular data, and I want to, so from this data, what I want, so the dynamic contents, I am going to select that particular column. Okay, so this is the column that I want. So from this column, I want to get the beginner, right? So what this will do is it will filter it out and give me, from this particular column, it will only filter, it will only show me the people that chose beginner, all right? Let's see. Input and compose. Okay, so another thing that it has done is when he added this query for us, right? When he added this query, it actually changed what we had in our compose. Remember that we already did our compose, we already did the outcome of our compose, and this was not what we put there. But because we told Power Automate to help us with this, it went back. So if you are not a complete beginner, right, you might not necessarily like how Copilot is working, because as you're going forward, it might be taking you backward. But I just want you to be able to see what Power Automate can do. Okay. So you can actually say undo. So you see another thing is it is actually accountable. It shows you exactly what it has done. It says here, it says updated this action. All right. It updated this action for you. Your compose is updated, and this is also, then you updated this one and added this. So it says check this action to see if any parameter need to be set. So is basically telling you that I've done some updates, but feel free to go and edit it in case I've done something wrong. All right, so we'll just quickly do that. So we will do what we've done before. We're doing length. For the length, so we go back to dynamic contents. We want the length of this. We want to add it. Okay, so now we have length. Then now we have we are querying this. Your level of Excel is equals to beginner. I'm going to save this. All right, and we are going to run it. Okay, so now what we have, so this is input, but if you go to output, you'd be able to see that from the output, it will only show you what? It will only show you the ones that have beginner. Now, we've not gotten to where we are going to. What we want to do is we want the numbers, right? We want the numbers. So I'm going to move a little bit fast. And so I'm going to ask Automate, I'm going to ask Copilot another question again. So if you are new to Power Automate, you probably, you'll be able to see that, you'll be able to see what Copilot can do. If you're not new to Power Automate, it's also good for you to see, this studio, see what Copilot can do. And so I'll go to Edit, and let me see. Okay, so I said I want to count the number of people that selected the beginner option from the Excel I added using Power Automate. Okay. So when I went through all of this before, I saw that one of the beautiful things I actually love that Copilot did. Let me just bring that and show you. So I did something similar to this to just show you what Copilot can do, and I love that. So one of the things I loved that it did was it actually showed you how you can write the counting function in Excel itself, right? It also so I went back and I said, no, I want to count the number of people that selected the beginner option from the Excel that I added. Then it now told you one of the ways. He didn't put it for me. He basically just told you, he wrote it down, just like ChatGPT would do. He just wrote it down what I should do. So he said to count the number of people who selected the beginner option in Excel using Power Automate, you can create a flow that triggers when a new row is added to your Excel. Use the list rows present in a table action. Exactly what we have done. It says to retrieve so you use the list rows present in a table to retrieve the action. Then you apply a filter to count rows where the beginner option is selected. Then you can use the filter array action to filter the results. Then use the length function to count the number of filtered array. So that's what we are going to do. So what I just showed you now is basically, I prefer this one, but then you cannot decide what Power Automate, what Copilot would help you with. At times, it would write it like that for you and tell you, read this and go figure it out yourself. And at times, it will just, start changing things for you. right? I prefer when it tells you because it is not yet perfect. So when it changes things for you, at times it takes you back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just undo this one, right, and revert. So I go exactly back to where I was before. And what I'm going to do now is quickly, right, I'm going to just add, I'm going to add a compose action. So Power Automate has told me what I should, Copilot has told me what I should do. I'm just going to go ahead to do that without telling it to put it for me because I don't want it to take me back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go to expression and I'm going to type in length. So we already filtered our data to show us the number of, to show us the people that selected beginner. So what I'm going to do now is, so length, from the dynamic content, I'm going to select this. So give me the length of this query. I'll add it here. Okay, so one of the things I actually like to do anytime I'm building a flow, I love to rename my cards. But this particular demo, I just want us to play around Copilot, show you what Copilot can actually do, how far Microsoft has gone with the Copilot in Power Automate, and we are using some Excel data. Okay, but what I'm just going to go ahead to make sense of this automation. All right. So now that, so before I save now, I'm going to add more cards. Few cards that I'm going to add to this is, I'm going to add email card. So quickly, I'm just going to add an email card. So I want send an email, or it could just be notification, but then I want to actually send an email with the details. All right, details of everything that we have done so far. So, okay, so I want to send it to myself. I'm not exactly explaining how we can build a Power Automate flow, right? Because I assume that, because that's not like the focus of this particular training. The focus of this training is to show us Copilot, what Copilot can do. So I'm going to go ahead now to just add. So now I'm adding send an email card. I want it to send to Omolola. Subject will just be I'll just say, so the data that we have here is an Excel data of a meetup. So I'll just say insight Dynamics 365 D365 meetup insights. D365 meetup insights. Okay, so that's what this is doing. D365 meetup insights. And I'm just going to say beginner. So I'll just type say, hello Lola. So this is the expertise level of those attending your meetup. Okay, because this is exactly what I want to do. I want to get the expertise level of those attending the meetup, right? And I'm just going to come here to say beginner, intermediate, this. So for the beginner level, we are going to go ahead, go to the dynamic content, and we'll put the compose one action. So this is why I actually like to rename it. I like to rename, so first, let's actually go and do what I preach, which is to rename, right? Oh, did we just lose? Oh, sugar. Okay, that's fine. So first, let's rename so that this will be easier for us. So total data, so total number of rows, okay? So total number of rows, and this one will be beginner filter. So this is the beginner filter query, and this one is the number of beginners. Number of beginners. Perfect. So remember that so what I was typing in the send an email before is now let me just go over the flow again because we want to make sense of this Power Automate flow, right? Manually trigger a flow, list rows present in a table. So get all my data. This is the total number of my data. This filters just for the beginners, and this gives me the number of beginners. So what I want to do after so after this, in fact, I can just copy action, paste an action. All right, so I just pasted this, and I'll just go and I'll just edit it. So let us get my table. So I'll just get my table, intermediates. So I get exactly how I spelled it, just to ensure that my data that I'm getting is consistent here. So intermediates, let me see. Yeah, so I'm doing the same thing. So for this one, I just want the one that the level of expertise will be intermediate, okay? And I'm going to rename this guy also. So instead, I'll just say beginner, intermediate filter query, right? Intermediate filter query. So I have beginner filter query, intermediate filter query. I want the number of the intermediates also. So I will just copy action. I will paste an action. So in here, I'll just edit it. So I would, so inside my length, what I want to do is I want to let me see. Go to dynamic content and get the filter query for the intermediate. So now, can you see the beauty? This is why you actually rename, so you know which one you're talking to. So I want to get for the intermediates. So I'll just say for the intermediates, update this one, but I want to rename this too. So this is number. So if I'm too fast, you can always replay this. Number of intermediates. So with what we've done here, you can already get an understanding of what I'm going to send to the email, right? So what I want to send to this email would be, so I'll just say, hello Lola, this is the expertise level of those attending your meetup. So the beautiful thing is this is automated. I'm going to select the time that I want to get it. So LLR, this is the expertise level of those attending your meetup. Then I'll say for beginner, what is the number, right? I will go to the action and I have the number of beginner here. Then I'll come here for intermediates, go to action, get the number of intermediates here. Then total number of participants. So basically, this is so to tell you the total number of people that have filled your your form. This is the output. It will tell you those that are in beginner stage, those are intermediate stage. Then just use this to prepare the training content. So in case I'm sending this to somebody, right, they know, so I can just say use this to prepare the training content for the meetup. All right, so this helps you prepare. So if you are somebody that wants to, go offer training for those that that will attend your meetup, you want to be sure if the number of beginners, the number of intermediates, and all of that. And okay, so let me just copy this just because I don't want to have to do this again, just in case. All right, let me go back. Intact. So I'm going to save this. So like I said, I love that about this studio. I can just drag this and I can always do fits. See, because I have more things now. Now that I'm fitting, it is not as small as it was before. So another thing that I want to now do is I can change my trigger. I've not referenced my trigger anywhere, so I can just change it. So instead of manually trigger, but I will manually trigger it first, then I can now automate it to say, I want you to set. So for instance, let's say that the meetup form that I sent it just the same way this meetup was announced, right? Let's assume that I sent it, say, 1st of December, and I ensure that the meetup form will close 5th of December, right? I can tell Power Automate to send me this insights, right? Say 7th of December. Everybody has finished filling everything. It will just automatically send me the insight. This is the number of the people that filled your form. This is the number of beginners, and this is the number of intermediates. And we can go ahead and do with that data whatever it is that you want to do with it. Power Automate has done this work. If at the time I was doing this simple flow, right? Because this flow is very simple, very basic. If at the time I was doing this flow, I did not know, I have an idea of what I want to do, but I didn't know exactly what to do. Or probably maybe I'm an Excel expert, for instance. And in Excel, when you want to count some of these things, you use count if, right? Count if, and all of that. But let's say in Power Automate, so I have an idea. I've been doing Excel development, but I don't know exactly how to use Power Automate. Then you can use Copilot, okay? So when you write all of this inside of Copilot, Copilot now types length. You see, it was length Copilot types. So you know that, okay, in Power Automate, length is what we use, not count. So you have an idea. Copilot is not perfect. It will not give you it will not give you the exact thing. You see that I had to change what Copilot gave me, right? But did Copilot guide us? Yes, it did. The other example that I showed us, Copilot even told us how you can do it in Excel, right? How you can write your count if and reference the particular column that you want to reference in Excel. So Copilot is just there to guide you. That's what Microsoft has done. I know that if you're in this Microsoft space, you would know that we have what's it called? We always have Build, and we have Ignite, which are programs that Microsoft actually tells us the update that they've done. So Microsoft, I'm sure that they are still working on some of these things, but this that they've done is beautiful enough because I don't need to leave the Power Automate ecosystem, the studio. I don't need to leave the studio to, maybe ask a question from, say, ChatGPT or your browser. So it's just a beautiful way of having AI just right beside you. That's what we have here. So now that I've saved this, let's just test everything that we've done. So I can close the Copilot. If I select this, I'll close Copilot. So it's currently saving. Let me test it. If there's any error, we'll just go ahead and debug it. So another thing is, if you have an error, you can always go ahead and ask Copilot, even though it will not change the error for you, but it will just at least guide you, right? So I'm manually running this flow because of my trigger. So it says my flow ran successfully. So I already got an email, but let me just open the email so that let's see if indeed I got an email. Mm. Okay. So I want to open my Outlook. Yeah. So this is it. See? Hello Lola. This is the expertise level of those attending your meetup. Exactly how we wrote it. So total number of participants 152, beginner 130, intermediate 22. So use this to prepare the training content of the meetup. So Power Automate has helped us with that, which is absolutely beautiful. Of course, there are other ways to do that in Excel if you want to do it, like the same thing Copilot actually told us. You can actually come here and write your count if, right, referencing the column, and I assume that most people here are Excel experts, so you know all of this already. But you want to use Copilot, you want to use Power Automate. I keep mixing it. So you want to use Power Automate to do this for you. You want it to automatically send to your email at a particular time. So now we are going to do one last thing to our flow. One last thing that we're going to do to our flow, this is it. I'm just going to come here and so I'm going to edit. So I want to change my trigger. So I'll delete this, okay? So it says add a trigger. I want to, I need scheduled. Yep. This is what I need. So I want it to, so interval. Um, so you can decide to just say probably every day, okay? And you put the start time. But I don't want it to work every day anyways, but or say month. So this is reoccurrence. It means that you can be going out maybe once in a month, then you would choose when you want it to start. So you choose your time zone. So I'm in Saudi Arabia, I can choose UTC plus 3. So I can choose this one. No. So UTC plus 3. Any of this should work for me. Yeah, weird fluid. Yeah, this would work. Then for the start time, you can just put when you want it to start, right? 20. This is 2017, 03, 24. So this shows you how you should write it, right? So I can just say, 2025. Let me see. How did you? It's a 2025, the month and the dates. 2025, the month should be December, the date should be, we can say 19. Ooh, see. Ooh, 2024, December, we could say 19, that's tomorrow. Time. I could just say 3. So now, what I'm doing, this one will not run until this particular time that I want it to run. So this is just to, make sense of the story that we are currently telling, right? So I'll save this, which means that after everybody has filled the form, I want this to send to me. And once it sends to me, I can come here and switch it off. Or I can just, whatever trigger that works best for me, all right, is what I can use. So I hope I've been able to show you some of the limitations of Copilot, some of the things we can currently use Copilot to do, but I absolutely love this studio. Some people do not like this studio because it's actually different from what we've been using in Power Automate before Microsoft actually made this change. And you can always turn it off. But when you turn it off, when you turn the new designer off, you will not have access to the Copilot. You would have access to the Copilot feature. So I love using this because I can have access to the Copilot feature, and I actually like this studio. It's similar to some other studios that I've used, so I really like this studio, and I hope I've been able to show you the limitations of Copilot, Copilot Studio, what you can do with Copilot, and to an extent, I've given you an idea of if you ever have a meetup data, these are some of the things that you can do with it. You can do other complex things in Power Automate, but this is just simulating what you can do with Copilot. All right. So if we have any questions at this point, let's go back to our PowerPoint. So if you have any question at this point, feel free to let me know. If you have questions for me, do let me know. All right. Any questions? If you have any questions, please let me know. Hi, Faraz.
Hi, Oma. Yeah, so I'm just watching the chat, on on a WhatsApp, somebody has commented that will it work with the Gmail as well, like the emails what you have sent it?
Yes, yes, yes. You can actually send it to Gmail.
Okay. And somebody is asking like what is a notification connector?
Oh, so this one that I use is Outlook.
Yeah. There is something notification connector we have, right?
Oh, I should explain what a notification connector
Yeah,
is.
yeah. He's asking about the notification connector.
Oh, okay. So let me just explain connectors. I wanted to do something to talk about connectors, but I was just thinking probably it's not needed. So connectors are like a bridge, right? So you're currently using Power Automate to work, right? But you want to connect to Outlook. You want to connect to Gmail. You want to connect to Excel, for instance. So all of that are their connectors, right? Their API, their application interface, something that connects you from Power Automate to Excel, something that connects you from Power Automate to Gmail, for instance. So when we say notification connectors, we are looking for a particular connector that can do a notification, that can notify you. So Gmail is one of it. Outlook is one of it, right? To notify me of this data insights that we just did. So yes, so that's it. I hope did I do justice to that?
Yes,
I,
you did. You did. You did, Oma. Then there is a question in chat from Ismail in the Zoom chat.
let me see, I can't see. Can you read it out for me?
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Sorry, I have a number of tabs.
No problem. No problem. I will just read it for you. I'm from finance and accounting, and I'm a big fan of Excel and other data analysis tool. I also think that RPA solution like Power Automate makes life easier and should be known in finance because it's the next step when the instance which we make some reports or dashboards or simply to make some actions for us in Excel. Okay, so the question is from your perspective as a business application advocate, being an RPA Power Automate good practitioner and accessible to someone with the background, what kind of training would you recommend achieving this goal?
Yes, I've opened it. I was also reading through. Thank you so much, Faraz. So um, let's see. Now, if you are in, so there was a time that I was in a conference, a data conference, and my workshop was basically on how to use Power Automate still with Excel, right? And I was really talking, I did it from an aspect of a data analyst, right? So whether you are in finance or you do any kind of um, data is very good for you to have access to, or for you to have the knowledge of Power Automate. For Power Automate, it can be either DPA or RPA. So what I just did now is DPA, Digital Process Automation, right? The one you do online, that's the DPA. Then there's RPA, Robotic Process Automation. So for instance, if what you're trying to do does not have connector, say I want to, instead of speaking to Excel, I want to speak to maybe SAP, for instance, or a particular data somewhere, and there's no connection to it, then you use something like RPA, all right? Now, where do you start, right? Is it a good, what kind of training do you recommend in achieving this? I would say that you can actually go on YouTube, right, and search for, there's this guy, what's that his name again? One sec. Anders. Anders. Faraz, if you can just help me get maybe like the YouTube details of Anders. Anders talks more on RPA. So Anders talks so much about RPA with Power Automate. So his RPA with Power Automate, he has a lot of courses on RPA with Power Automate, which is very good. If you want to if you want to learn introduction to Power Automate, you can actually go to Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is the University of Microsoft, right? We have free resources there for you to actually learn Power Automate. But if I'm going to be very honest with you, the practical knowledge of Power Automate, it would come when you have, how will I put it? For instance, when you get the beginner knowledge of Power Automate from either Anders channel or the Microsoft Learn, the best place for you to now, groom that knowledge is when you now start doing. So when you have any kind of issue in your organization, as a finance person, you want to, get insight into your data, you can go ahead and use some of the things that you have learned online and use it with your data. Before you know it, you are no more a beginner, you're now intermediate level. All right. Have I been able to answer your question, Ismail? Do we have any other question?
Yeah, Oma. So, okay, great. Okay, I think Oma, I think there will be questions coming in, and there is one other question like, what is difference between a variable and this query, compose query?
Okay. So we have compose card, right? We have variable. At times, I use compose and variable interchangeably, right? Depending on what I want to do. For me, I'm very comfortable with compose. Now, where is my flow? One sec. Let me just go back to the flow and bring it up. Okay, so the query is a filter query. It's different from compose. Compose is like a container, just like variable. Variable is a container where you store data, you store a particular data, and all of that, right? The major difference between compose and variable would be that you can initiate your variable and set your variable. Okay, meaning that if I'm using a variable, I can actually initiate my variable. So here I can say my variable is 5. When I want to set my variable, meaning that my variable can change. Or at the time I'm even initiating my variable, I might not put a particular value in it, but I can now set my variable. So it gives me an opportunity to be able to change the value that I'm storing inside my variable. If I'm using a variable card, that's one of the differences. If I'm using a compose card, I'm storing a particular value inside that compose card. There's no place to actually change that value of that compose card except you use another compose. All right. But now a compose card is also different from a filter query card. This query card that we've used here, you will see here, this particular one, total number of rows, this is a compose card. I'm just storing this value inside of it, all right? I'm not changing this value anywhere. But for this particular beginner filter query card, this one, it filters my data, okay? I can say, so I'm using this one to look through an array of data and I'm filtering it based on a particular parameter. I want to check for just beginner. I want to check for just intermediate. That's when you use filter query card. Compose card, you're just storing a value inside. It is like a bucket that are storing a value inside. For the variable card, you can initiate a variable and you can change the value of that variable by setting the variable. So those are like the differences between the three.
That was really nice, Oma. And I have dropped the chat. I have in the chat. I have dropped the link for Oma YouTube link, and as well as as soon as I get some documents or some sample files, I'll make sure that I'll get it uploaded and I'll add it to the to this YouTube link, which is there in the description. And this was really lovely, Oma. This was really great. The session was really great, and. Before I end my session, YouTube session, before we end on YouTube live, I would like you to say some nice word, this because some motivational something, for all our YouTube friends who are there. Anything, it could be a quote from a movie, or it could be a quote from Steve Jobs books or Bill Gates, or it could be an original from Oma, which will be, we can get the motivation and boost.
Thank you so much, Florence. So I'm going to say two things. The first thing I would say is um, there's a mentor of mine that always says that nothing is easy and nothing is difficult, right? You'll be able to say, oh, this thing is easy or this thing is difficult because of your level of ignorance or your level of knowledge. So whatever it is that you want to go into, you want to go into Power Automate, you want to learn something in Excel, you want to learn something in artificial intelligence, you want to learn anything at all, just know that it is not difficult and it is not easy. It's just the level of knowledge that you have. The second thing that I'm going to say is um, in this day and age that we are, is important for you to have as number of skills that you need, right? And I love this particular quote that says, Jack of all trades, master of none, but is often better than master of one. So most times, people just say jack of all trade, master of none. No, jack of all trade, master of none, but it's often better than master of one. It means that if I know five things, I am better than somebody that knows one thing. So if you are already in finance, you're already in whatever, look for other skills, Excel skills, Power Automate skills, RPA skills, skills that you can add to what you already know. Thank you so much.
Great, my friends. So it was a lovely session tonight, and this was also the this year's last session, and we are hoping to have some session in person in the Mam and Khobar. We are planning it out, and I hope my friends I get space and I can announce it soon on the meetup page. Well, all for set for today. Thank you, Oma, once again for joining and making this Women in Tech season, on Saudi Arabia such a wonderful time. So, my friends, I'll be signing out from the YouTube, but friends, those who are on this room, please stay back because the party is still not over and there's a lot of things to chat around. So, bye, my friends from the YouTube. Take care. See you. Bye.